Hey, true believers. Chris Matt coming at you today with Batman number 89. This was a good read. There's a lot going on. There's some build-up, but I appreciate that Tynion really goes out of his way to still have a story without this just feeling like a whole bunch of strings leading into other story arcs. It feels cohesive. Now, this book is the first, according to the DC Wiki, this is the first appearance of Punchline and also the first appearance of the designer. Though I would argue that these are first cameo appearances, and I know that kind of starts to become a fine line, you know what I mean? So we'll get into that. Now, this book, thankfully it's not Tom King anymore, Tynion has been building up this character called the Designer, and how this really leads into Catwoman, and at this point also the Riddler. The Riddler and Selina are trying to kind of figure out why the Designer has come back from the past, and that's kind of what starts, I think it's 86, moving up to this issue, and that's kind of where the story has been progressing. Like I said, some technical stuff happened, Club Channel got deleted, and now I'm kind of starting back up from scratch, so I'll try to slowly work my way back to those books, because I went to look for the archives of those videos. And yeah, of course, conveniently they are gone. But anyway, but I decided to start with this one because this is really where everything kind of starts to take off with different threads. Something happens to the Penguin in the last issue by one of our favorite villains. Who is that? Make sure to check out the book. And it just opens on some very graphic and brutal imagery, because the Penguin comes in and you can see his throat is slit. And he's just, oh boy. And everyone's running in because the Hippocratic Oath. Now, what's brutal is they're saying we need to prep him for surgery. And the Penguin goes, I'll pay you $100,000 if you call this number and ensure I survive the night. If not, I'll have my men kill your family. That's got to be hard. Just. But anyway, as they're getting ready to prep him for surgery, one of the nurses, she says, I wonder where he is now, meaning Batman. And the Penguin says, where do you think, my dear? He's working. And before I kind of get into this, the people responsible for this book, the writer is James Tynion IV. Art is Guillem March and Carlo Pagulayan. I'm sorry if I brutalized the names. Feel free to make fun of me down in the comments below. The inks is Danny Miki. Colors are Tomu Moray. And the lettering is Clayton Cowles. And of course, Batman was created by Bill Finger with Bob Kane. Now, this artwork by March is just absolutely exquisite. So I like how the Penguin says he's working, meaning Batman. And then we just jump into this really cool action scene. So what happened is Bruce Wayne is kind of trying to revamp Gotham. Since Alfred has passed away, and what was it, Batman number 72? I can't remember off the top of my head. Let me know. But in his tribute to Alfred, he's trying to do better work with Bruce Wayne. So he's trying to kind of fix up the slums of Gotham. And anyway, all these assassins start to attack Batman. This kind of correlates back to the Designer. And Batman's able to put some of them away in this new place that he makes at the GCPD. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's supposed to hold supervillains. Well, some of the bad are broken out, and so Batman's trying to get them back. And this one's called The Gunsmith. His story is kind of interesting. What I like here is Tynion really makes it a point to kind of give the backstory on some of these obscure villains, and it really helps the story. But where it starts to shine is Selina's, in the last issue, has led to this kind of Potter's Field. And we think that we see a particular character dead. I don't want to give that away, but just look at this artwork. I mean, the art team really went all out. That is gorgeous. Seeing Catwoman and Harley here just beating the crap out of these goons that are being controlled by the Designer. And here's another thing that I want to say too is, even though I don't like this Harley design, I'll always enjoy the original Harley look because that's how she's supposed to look according to Paul Dini and Bruce Timm. But anyway, listen to the way she kind of talks here. So Selena's asking Harley if she's just like, so what, you get homesick or something? And Harley's like, oh yeah, miss the sound of my mallet smacking the skull of a bozo on a nice night in Gotham. And then, she's asking if some of this work is the Joker's, and she goes, nah, this ain't his style. When he strikes, he's going to want Batman to know it's him. I think this is like the time where we tried to gas all the movie houses in the theater district. But right when we got the plans to set up, Two-Face had this whole thing with banks and silver dollars. My puddin' was so angry, he almost blew a gasket. As if he was going to get upstaged, he at least wanted it to be clever, right? This sounds more like Harley. This is the way she's supposed to be. Now listen to this. She goes, Joker's been cleaning house. I've been following the clues for a bit. He's been leaving a trail of dead clowns all the way up the coast. I think this was supposed to be clue number 1 for Batman. And what I like is Catwoman says, and what are you here to do about it? Oh, I'm going to kill him. Hey, good for you. Yeah, I fear it's about time. Gotta leave the past behind. But you got here first, and I had my mallet. And then someone shoots an arrow at Catwoman and just slump. Because Harley is an acrobat, and she's high IQ. And she's very nimble, so I just love how she's able to catch that arrow just like that. Now, the reason I wanted to read these pages a little out of context, I just wanted y'all to get a flavor of how Harley is supposed to sound. Tynion does a good job of capturing her original characteristics, as where, a lot of these newer Harley books where you see her go, oh, holy whammy, blammy, kablooey, and the slooey, oh, shingity-dooey, oh. It hurts the brain cells to read the new Harley comics because I know they wanted to make her more fun, but if you go back pre-Flashpoint and you read her original run, you watch Batman the Animated Series, and then you read Gotham City Sirens, which was the team-up of Ivy, Harley, and Catwoman. Yes, she could be zany, but in that next breath, she'll have a knife to your throat, and she's like, I'll kill you. And these new Harley comics, I just feel like it's gone. And then, she's decent in Suicide Squad, but there's always still elements missing. Like in the new 52 Suicide Squad, it was fun, but I felt like she was a little more violent. Like Harley can be violent, but that was a little over the top. And then like the Rebirth Suicide Squad, yeah, there were some characteristics, but then she'd get a little too silly. So I like that Tynion is able to capture that happy medium of her teetering between madness and being sweet and silly, because that's just her personality. She's very bubbly. So I don't want to give away what happens here. And then again, what I was talking about is how Tynion, these obscure characters. There was the gunsmith, and then this guy here, his name's Mr. Teeth. And this guy, oh my goodness. So check this out. I'll read this because this was rough. 3 years ago, there was a series of 7 murders in the Pacific Northwest. Every victim was found with their teeth surgically removed from their mouth and surgically implanted into their stomachs. The Portland police dubbed their new serial killer the Tooth Eater. The joke told often on the dark web assassins board is that someone must have told him the old truism: if you're good at something, don't do it for free. He goes by Mr. Teeth now. They say he hates the other name, that it's a misunderstanding of his art, of his horror. So these characters, either they're obscure that I've never heard of, or they're brand new. Let me know down in the comments. But I like that Tynion really takes a couple of pages to introduce you to them so you can kind of get an idea of what's going on. I really am thankful for that. Now, Mr. Teeth here, he is in the the Riddler's hideout. And Batman comes in and he sees that, the Riddler has been in the city's system monitoring everything, because you find out in latter issues that he's been kind of trying to follow the stuff with the designer. And Batman's talking about how that the floors are covered in C4 and they're supposed to be pressure plated. It was supposed to be a game board for Batman. And he goes, this thing not being finished is a message to me, because the Riddler is always very systematic in what he does. And so this is where we get the first appearance of the designer, but it's on a video monitor. Oh, speaking of which, I jumped a page. Sorry, let me go back a minute. That was something that I wanted to show. Here. So, beautiful page of Catwoman and Harley going after these guys. And then we see this silhouette. And it goes, she doesn't look so tough. So that's the first real appearance there of Punchline, which is why I was saying I think these should be cameo appearances, because Punchline gets 2 lines in this book. Both are either silhouette or close-up, so you can't really see what she's like. And the same thing with the designer. He doesn't say anything. We just get to see what he finally looks like. And it's on a video monitor. So I feel like this issue is more like the first cameo appearances. You know what I mean? If I'm totally off base here, then feel free to let me know down in the comments. But yeah, this book was really good. Like I said, there's all this buildup, and Tynion is still able to follow what he's trying to write, where there's these villains, all these villains on the loose, and they're supposed to be kind of wearing Batman out, but Batman, of course, always has a plan. And the way that they go after Deathstroke here, I like how he just goes, show off. Because that's just typical Slade, you know, between the tit for tat with him and Batman. And then one of the last important things is Catwoman finally comes clean to Bruce about the designer. She goes, years ago, I made a deal with him. We all did. Gotham's biggest bads. I'll tell you everything, but first I need to say. And I love how March here just does her face, just conviction and hurt. She goes, I'm sorry. And, you know, this look of hope, like he'll forgive her. Now, the last thing I do want to show you guys is up here we get an epilogue. And again, we get this close-up of Punchline. She goes, hey, it's me. They seen the grave, but they've got the bat's attentions pointing elsewhere. Oh, well, that's okay, my dear. And so what's kind of leading up, I don't want to give that away because it's kind of interesting, and I wonder if this is going to run into John's 3 Jokers or not. But yeah, this are the 2 panels with Punchline, and then of course we get that moment with the designer. So yeah, this is a good book. You know, I hate a lot of the times when you feel like there's all these plot threads going everywhere, and it just doesn't feel like the book can stand on its own. And so I appreciate that Tynion is trying to build up all these future plot points while still keeping this comic as its own. And it just works. And then, you know, the art team doing such a great job. I love all the clean pencil lines. You know, just the very realism feel to it while still having that comic twinge to it as well. It gives that nice little peppering flavor, you know what I mean? So yeah, if you guys have enjoyed this comic book, please make sure to support your local comic shop. And if you can, see if they can't deliver it to you or mail it to you or do curbside services. If, you know, at the time of this recording, you know, we're all still kind of stuck in the house. Or if this is in the future and, you know, things, hopefully, fingers crossed, are back to normal, please make sure to go visit your local comic shop and pick up this book. And if you've enjoyed this review, please make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. Definitely helps the club channel more than you could possibly know, especially since we've had to start over from scratch again, which is, whew, but I will carry on. And if you won't mind hitting that fancy little Punchline bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys can get notified when you can come to the channel. We'd love to have a dialogue and hear your feedback down in the comments below or on our social media pages, which I will make sure to leave the links down in the description below. So I hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.